Hello, everybody. This is Johnathan Grissom of Morebands Media and the local Earshot podcast. I am here with Dustin Testerman of the Killings. And, hey, man, what's going on? How's the, I was like there the other night for the, what do you call it? The release party.
Yeah, our EP release party.
Release party.
Yeah. It's good, man. It ended up being a pretty good show. There's a lot of people out and had a good time, and I got way more drunk than I meant to before we played.
Oh, man. Yeah. my friend stopped by that I hang out with, like from time to time. Like I don't see her as much anymore. She's in her own career and stuff. But like she went up there earlier, and I met with her, and I told her I was going to that show. And so we went up there, and we were drinking. We ordered some food from Ted's, had some food, and I was just sitting there, and I just proceeded to go hang out with random people and smoke and drink and. Yeah.
And then you end up on Twisted Lane for you know.
All I know is that I made it home and I'm good, and I went to sleep right away. When I got home. Yeah.
Yeah. So. No, I was pretty well crashed right out when I got home.
Yeah. So kind of go over the new album and like your process, who you recorded with, all that kind of stuff, and so talk about it.
We did a couple of EPs at the same time. We recorded them with Chris Sanders out of his home studio, and he plays drums for Planets Align, who also played the other night with us. I think they played first, and right before the Killings, or right before the Costanzas, and then we played. So the first one we released several months back, and that was kind of the first 4 songs out of the 8 we recorded with them. The next 4 is what we just released just now, Join a Cult EP. But yeah, we recorded it, and we did most of the drums and rough tracks on one Saturday, a long Saturday, but one Saturday up there. And then the guys came and kind of finished their parts over the next couple of weeks. And then we sent it off. I think Chris mixed it for us. And then we sent it off to Trent Bell at Bell Labs, and he mastered it. Yeah,
I hear a lot of good things about Trent Bell.
Oh, it's professional. I mean, he's
like the guy to go to.
Yeah, sure.
City, I guess.
And that's really it. It's this new one has 4 songs. The last one had 4 songs on it too. Road to Nowhere was the last one, and then this one's kind of the second part of that collection, and it's Join a Cult, and it's got 4 more songs on it. And yeah, that's pretty much the story of that little record.
So what's the difference between the songs from the previous album to now, or like how you guys have like progressed?
Well, I'm in the band now. This is the first recording I've done with them. And so those 8 songs we did, that's the first time I've actually been on record with them. And so I don't really know how they did it before, but I mean, this one, I think it's the first time they sat down and tracked stuff and did it, in a more, typical format instead of just, I think the stuff they'd done before, they'd kind of done live. And I could be wrong on that too. I'm not sure. I've only been in the band for a little over a year or 2 years or something. Yeah,
it actually kind of blew my mind that whenever I was sitting there at that show, and because I'm getting old, I'm fucking sitting at tables, I ain't standing up the whole time.
Right.
I was sitting there and heard Simp, like he said that he was like, oh yeah, this guy was in the band Pain Relief with me, and Pain Relief was one of the very first punk band, or like not punk metal rock, whatever. One of the first local bands that I ever actually went to a show to.
Sure.
And I have their album.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have their CD. I just thought of that whenever you said it, because like I was like, oh, I have the CD, but back then it was recorded on like a what do you call it, blank disc,
right?
And it was had like the laminate sticker from like Walmart.
Oh, sure.
And it had all the names of the songs on it and stuff. And I think I got something wet on it at one point, so it's all like it looks like
washed out. Yeah, that's awesome
and stuff. But yeah, it is. So
yeah, that's Joey.
Really good album.
Yeah,
really good album.
No, Pain Relief is awesome.
Yeah, Pain Relief was a great band.
We used to play with them. So my high school band, 3 out of 5, with a couple of guys that still live around here. Will and Cody, we used to play with Pain Relief all the time. That's how Simp and I became friends.
Okay.
Is we played with each other once, and we were like, oh, I love your band. Oh, I love your band. This, big circle jerk. And then we're like, let's play together as much as possible. And that's what we started doing. And so we probably played with them a handful of times every year, really any chance we got. They'd put us on good shows. We'd put them on good shows. And anytime anyone asked one of us, hey, another band, it was, usually we would just kind of scratch each other's back in that way. Mm-hmm. And we just loved hanging out and partying together, and it was just a good time.
Yeah, I mean, back then there was a lot more venues. There was a lot more like places that were actually playing, local bands like that, like those lower. Because I remember like there's a band called it's like a pop punk band, but they're that I have their CD too. It's like the Stellas. Music for Umbrellas. It was like,
dude, that sounds familiar, but I don't remember it specifically.
Chick. Yeah, like I went into their show. It was over at the place. I thought that was the deli, but in Norman there was a place. Maybe it was, and it just moved. But there was a place that when you got off the highway, it was off to the side and it looked like a castle.
Oh, I remember that
a
place.
Little restaurant.
I only played there one time, but it was like a sandwich shop or something.
And that's why I thought it was the deli. That's why I thought that was the name of it, but everybody was telling me, no, that's not the same place.
Yeah, because the deli's over there on Campus Corner, right?
Yeah, so I thought maybe they moved, maybe I'm crazy.
And we probably played with them there, too. But back then, we were all kids. And honestly, back then, when we were like 18 and 19... there really wasn't a lot of places for us to play, especially, young, shitty bands. Mm-hmm. And so we had, like, the Green Door. If Reggie didn't book us, then we really didn't get booked anywhere unless it was, like, a place, like a sandwich shop or some, kind of place trying to put on. Like, I'd rent out the Pavilion at Will Rogers, and we'd put on shows there, and that was, like, back we're, like, 20, 21. I mean, young enough to where we were worried about the cops showing up because we were all underage drinking or smoking weed up in the tower up there or whatever we were doing. We were kids.
Yeah, I remember going to this little coffee shop that was in Midwest City, and we'd throw shows there all the time. And it was a little cyber cafe because back then, everybody used to go in there, and that's where they got the computer access, where you could
play on the internet,
games with your friends and stuff like that. And but they always serve coffee and stuff, so we just go in there, drink coffee, get on the internet.
Sure.
And they used to have like open mics and shows and stuff, but then that finally closed because the internet kind of expanded.
Yeah, everyone had it.
And then everybody had it in their house, yeah, like that. I thought that was really, really cool, though, to notice that he said that. Then the dude got up there and sang with them. It was, sang with you guys. It was pretty awesome.
Dude, it was a fun time.
I mean, it was a good night. I will say that. Like that was a great night. And then Shane over there, basically looking like what your name of your album is.
Cult leader. Cult leader / werewolf.
He's either a cult leader or he's like a socialist mastermind, like he looks just like
mixed between like Karl Marx and Rasputin.
Just like a communist Russian Rasputin.
He definitely looks like he has like a flock of followers somewhere, like in some compound.
He might, you don't know.
That's true.
He might be writing, like and having you guys write these songs and sing these things,
right?
To kind of send a message out to like, hey, it's like his message. Hey, come over, talk
to
me,
trying to
join
recruit
this
folks.
Cult. Yeah. He's just going over there asking people to come and join the cult, but
yeah, it was a great show. I had a blast. I mean, it really was a good time. A lot of people showed up. It was like a kind of a reunion in some parts. There's a lot of people I hadn't seen. Like Joey specifically, hadn't seen him in forever. I had never played music with him, like in the same, band, same stage at the same time. So that was cool to be able to kind of play the drums behind him. I'd never done that before, so it was pretty dope. Yeah,
it was really good to see the Costanzas too, because like I've seen them a few times, but I haven't seen them in a in more of a raw sound type in venues, because some of these venues don't have the nice sound system that Blue Note does in the setup, and they always have the sound guys there that are really, really good. I forget which one did it. Charlie. That show. Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie's great. He's one of my
Charlie
favorites.
Charlie or Jacob usually.
Yep, Jacob's another favorite. Yeah, Charlie, Jacob. There's a couple of them out there that I see him and I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, it's somebody who knows us. He knows kind of our kind of stupid. Mm-hmm. Or like, especially with Cought Stealing, because we're so temperamental. If anything starts going wrong, starts sounding weird, we'll just quit. Like, we're like, man, we're not getting paid anyway. We're just we'll cut it out. Yeah, if things start going wrong. But
you get mad and you just go behind the counter and just steal shit.
No, we can't do that. We'll get in a whole lot of trouble for that one.
Stealing
But no, yeah, it's always a breath of fresh air when I see Charlie or Jacob or someone like that, or back in the day, rest in peace, Chad Honeycutt. Yeah. Seeing him running sound, we're like, oh God, it's someone who knows our kind of stupid, and he knows what we need. And
yeah, I used to I've known Chad for a long time, and we used to like have like holiday parties and stuff at his house, and we do karaoke in his like back little room that he had and stuff. And so we get on there and he hook up his little PA system, and do sound for a second, then everybody would just get up there and just start just like
just let it go,
some metal and rock and stuff, and just songs that you definitely could never do in actual karaoke bars.
Sure.
But yeah, that dude was cool. Like, let me see. You want to try to play a few?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, the one I sent you is called Join a Cult. And that's the namesake of the EP.
Yeah, punk rock, man. That song was like, what, a minute?
Yeah, like 2 minutes long, I think. Yeah, that's one of the long ones, probably.
Yeah, it's like, what is it? You'd be like, oh yeah, this band got up on stage and they sung 3 songs or 4 songs. Like, how long was their set? It was like 10, 15 minutes. How long did it take them to set up? Almost an hour.
Yeah, sometimes, man. Yeah, we've played. I know with Cought Stealing, we've played shows that it's like, we'll set up in 15 minutes. We'll get 4 songs deep into the set and realize we're just not clicking. And we're like, all right, let's play one more and get out of here. And so we'll just play one more song. And
I remember you telling me the story where like you guys are always like, you're in the venue and you're like, bell, let's bell. And then you guys just all just like kind of go, okay, yeah, we're done. And just go, like you're talking about that last episode.
Well, we have a song called Pussy. And so we called it Pussy and Out. You ready to pussy out? And they're like, yeah, let's pussy out. And we'd all look at each other, pussy out. We'd play the song and get the hell out of there.
Just get out of there, just like shut off the stage and walk away.
And now we have a different song we end with. And so we'll go with that one. We're like, Grey Wolves out. And we're all prepared to be done. So
nice.
Leave everything we have left into that song and get the hell out of there.
So what do you guys have planned for like the next year or like coming up?
No crazy plans. With the Killings, we're playing Tulsa here in a couple of days at Whittier's with I want to say Crystal Sedona Bitch, and the touring band is TV Tragedy.
Okay.
And so this is the first time to play TV Tragedy. I guess they requested us somehow. I don't know how they heard us, or maybe it was...
Who's in charge of the production on that one?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I know Diatribe's been doing a lot of stuff with Sedona and all that. So.
Yeah, they heard of us somehow. It was some band we'd played with. I don't know if it was Venomous Pinks, maybe, or... I don't remember who it was, but they requested us and Sedona Crystal Bitch, which... is fucking awesome. That band is great. I
Yeah.
love that band. They've easily moved into like one of my top 10 favorite local bands.
Oh yeah.
They're so good.
I have her the shirt that she made, and then she's talking on the show, and she said, "Yeah, you know that shirt that's like, I want to go fishing, or like I'm happier when I'm fishing." She's
Right.
Like, she's like, "I want that shirt that says I'm happier when I'm dead." It's just a dead fish skeleton, and I said, "You make that shirt, I'll sport it."
Yeah, we'll buy it.
I'm gonna sport
Yeah,
it.
right.
Like, and so the moment that she had it, like, I went over there and I bought one from Grand Royale, because like I was like, yeah, dude, I want to wear this.
That's killer.
Because it says Sedona Crystal Bitch on the back of the shirt. So when people walk behind you, they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I guess that's really all we're going to do right now is we're going to start trying to play a little more out of the city. Dave just left the band, so he's taking a role like with middle school football team, and he's going to be, an actual like paid coach, and it gives him, more time to spend with his family and stuff like that. And so we're going to go as a 3-piece for a while, still try to sweet talk him into playing a show here and there if you can. But if not, we're just going to run it as a 3-piece. And try to promote this last couple of little EPs we did, and try to book as much as we can, outside of the OKC metro, Tulsa, Texas, Kansas, and just try to get out there a little bit, sell some T-shirts, and try to not saturate so much here in Oklahoma City. We don't want to be one of those bands that we play in every weekend. And eventually people are like, oh, well, I'll just go see him next weekend. And then the next weekend shows up.
Yeah,
they're like, I'll see him next weekend.
That is actually a known thing. I was talking to another artist about that and the band that I actually like helped doing a lot of media management for, the Hollis band, Johnny and the Boys. They were trying to figure out how would they move around, and so now they're looking for a van. So if anybody's selling a van out there, they're looking for a van to move their equipment, because the problem is that there's 3 different there's 4 of them, but like right now there's going to be 3, and then they're going to look into bringing in another bassist. Tracy decided that like his workload and stuff at his job is too much, and so he's not going to be able to keep 2 bands. I think he's in another band, and so they were looking at their routing, and they're playing a show in, I think it's August 12th. They're playing a show in Tulsa, and so people should come out to that. But the show are like basically what their issue was that they said, yeah, we don't want to play the same place or the same city in 1 month, or like even just half a month,
even like a quarter,
twice a month. Yeah, because they were like, if we do it where we cycle it, then people will be like, oh, hey, they're in town.
Sure,
I want to go see them.
Right.
But if you're not doing that, then people are like what you said. They're going like, and that's why I never understood that whole like oversaturation idea in all these venues here, that people that a lot of bands aren't understanding this, that like people are not coming to the shows anymore after a while, and they're like, oh, I don't understand. Maybe we're not making good music. Maybe we're not doing these certain things. It's like, no, it's just
and
because
if they've seen you twice in a quarter already, they know you're not going to have a whole new set list.
Yeah.
When they see you again, it's going to be the same exact thing.
And they might be monitoring you for that. They might be watching for your new music, and then they'll come out for your new music. And they're not gonna just jump on a train. Now, I mean, you have your ones that over time become your staples, your people that come to every single show, support you every time.
Yeah,
that's usually friends and family.
But, girlfriends, wives, and homies. But you don't want just that. You want to try to get. I mean, it's great that those folks will support you like that. But you can see it on them too when you tell them, I have a show next week, and they're like, another one, and you're like,
It's kind of like the groups. So like online, when you look at all these Facebook groups, it's nice having groups where and just different things in society where we support each other.
Right.
Like there's a Facebook group called like Band Together, and like it's all across the whole country. And I added like 30 or 40 likes to my to my Facebook group for the podcast, in one post because all I said was, well, yeah, we're always open, and then I'm willing to do an interview with artists.
Sure.
And so a bunch of artists added me, but the thing is, they're not from Oklahoma; they're from all over the country.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's like that back in the day, that would have been less than impossible to do. But it's awesome that you can do that. But then at the same time, the majority of people that are joining the groups are in bands,
right,
or are music artists, or are they're performers, or they're entertainment somehow.
Sure.
Whereas when you look at it the other way, you want groups that welcome fans. We want fans.
Sure.
We don't, but a lot of times fans, it turns into that they just want to listen to whatever they're told to listen to. I guess, I don't know. It feels like that sometimes.
Yeah,
but,
probably. There's probably some truth to that.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad, but it's like, I love new music, and I always like to give somebody their ability to actually like go out there and do it.
Sure. Well, you just don't want to wear people out, and it's the same thing with sets. You go see this local band, and they're playing, a 16 song set list, and 15 of them are originals. No one knows any words to sing along to, and they're playing for like 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. And after like 15, 20 minutes, you're tired. It's like, dude, I don't know any of these songs. Mm-hmm. You've been screaming at me for 30, 45 minutes. Like, let the next band play. I want to see what's next.
Yep.
And that's something I kind of try to do with them. And I may be wrong on this, but it's kind of my opinion that, if you're a local band, 20 minutes or less, like, get in there, show them. If you can't show what you guys can do in 20 minutes, then you're not going to do it in 25 or 30.
That's an old idea, actually.
Yeah. If you're a cover band, cool. Play for 2 hours if people like it.
The book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, mm-hmm. And Dale Carnegie. He has a whole writing about like in a speech, and the speech classes teach this. But you're like okay, in a speech and in a story, you have your beginning, your middle, your end. In speeches, you tell them what you're going to say, you say it, you told them that you said it.
Right.
That's
it.
And
get on with it.
You don't need to go on and on. You don't want to, transfer the story. You just tell them what you get in there. You tell them, what it is, whatever the subject is. And so in music, it's like you get in there, you play your set, get out of there, right? And some artists do that. Some artists, they're showmen. They like to bring in the crowd.
Oh,
they
sure.
Like to
if
walk
you're putting on a great show,
kind of stuff. Yeah, and if you're putting on a great show, that's the thing. It's like it's a part of it. But if you're just getting up there and just like
you're playing your songs and
taking forever,
and
no one knows the next song, and and then you're up there like messing with the equipment constantly.
Sure,
like, people are going to see that and be like, this band's not got it together,
right?
And,
Well, and even that too. Even if you just slay a set and you're just going from one song to the next. After 20 minutes, people start to get tired. I mean, They don't know the words. They're just standing there watching you. They're not participating because they can't. They have no idea. If they did know the words, maybe that's different. If you've sold like 20, 30 or more thousand albums and you have 100,000 streams, cool. People probably know the words. But if you're just some local band. So
that kind of brings in the subject of how do you feel about playing covers?
I love covers.
Yeah.
I mean, both of my bands play. Well, Cought Stealing's not so much playing covers right now, but the Killings, we've got Do Wah Diddy. We've just added to the set here recently.
That was cool.
And
I like that.
We haven't quite.
It's a good. It's not perfect yet, but it definitely has like a nice.
That one up.
It has a nice metal undertone. Our rock.
As tore up as I was, I was able to do pretty well for 99% of the set. Then we got to Do Wah Diddy, and I just slid on my face. And it's one of the easier songs we play. I just. The alcohol overcame the practice, and, and I was like, whoops. But yeah, we played like a Screeching Weasel cover, and we did a Iggy cover. And so, we try to, you want to give a chance for people to participate. And I'm a terrible singer, but I love singing. Like, that's what I do when I'm in the car with you, when I'm in the car by myself. When I'm in the car with anyone, I am belting at the top of my lungs, terribly, mind you. But I love to sing along, and I'm pretty basic, so I can't be that rare. Like, other people love to sing. And so if you can throw some covers in there, especially as a local band, that's fantastic. And it lets people kind of see, like, where you're coming from with some of your shit. And it's just, covers are a good idea. And Cought Stealing, we would do, we did like a Hank cover, and we did a Johnny Cash cover, and we would do a Cockspur cover, and you just try to do something interesting with an old song. Like, we would take a country song and play it punk rock, or we would take like a punk rock song and play it country, and just try to do something different. And, you know, we're not trying to like amaze anyone, but just give them something different, and but also very familiar at the same time.
Right, and that's the whole thing. It's like every style version of it is different, because the version that they played, or you know, your band played there, that was a like punk rocker version of that song.
Right.
And that song's a very old song.
Right,
So it's
yeah.
like, so you hear that version, you're like, oh, okay, this is
And that's the cool
fun,
part, is
you
we
know,
didn't have
this
to
is
twist
fun.
it that much either.
So-
We played it a little faster than normal, but sans my complete screw-ups, we play it pretty authentic to how it's played, but it's played through our voice. So you're never going to hear that version of that song anywhere else.
Right.
And that's what you want to do. You don't want to totally butcher the song. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
Hollis does a version of "Keep On Rocking in the Free World."
Nice.
and that's probably my favorite like version. That's a cover
Right.
that I've heard lately.
That's
you know,
great.
Like it's,
Yeah,
like it's different.
Sure.
Because it's a known popular song, but it sounds so good coming from this like a random band
Sure.
just rocking out, like, because, and it also fits the narrative of what local music kind of stands
Right,
for,
yeah.
is that we're still trying to rock the free world.
Oh,
so,
if you can do a cool
you know.
twist on an old song, man. Like, I remember seeing Frank Turner cover American Girl from Petty, and he played it he played it the way that you would think if you'd only read the lyrics, you would almost read it as like a sad song. And he played it so like sentimental and sweet. And it was just fantastic. One of the best covers I'd ever heard. And honestly, I didn't give a fuck about that song before he covered it. And it's one of my favorite songs now. I mean, I love Tom Petty, don't get me wrong, but that was not one of my favorite Tom Petty songs. And now it is, just because Frank Turner did it in a way that it almost helped me understand it better. Like, wow, what a great song. Like, this is a fantastic song. And he did an excellent cover that made me appreciate the way the song was written in the first place. And it was just awesome. And so, I mean, you take that into account when you're thinking about doing covers, and you want people to know that they will never hear that version anywhere else, but it needs to be good enough to where they're going to want to hear it from you. You know, you don't want to butcher it so bad that people's like, oh, that was funny, but
Right,
I didn't want to listen to it
You definitely
again.
don't. If the original artist is still alive, you really don't want them. You getting like somewhat. You want to write it good enough that it comes out the mainstream. They're getting royalties off of it, and then they go to listen to it, and they're like,
What?
why is this allowed to do this?
Right.
What did you do to my song? You know?
Yeah.
So,
And you don't want to be thought as like making fun of it or anything, unless you're intentionally trying to make fun of it, and that's funny too. But you don't want to go out there and just do a Britney Spears song to be silly or whatever it is. I mean, it can be funny, but that's not really the game.
I would point out one little thing about doing covers and playing copyrighted material, things like that. Is I was scrolling the other day, and I saw this TikToker, and follow a lot of his stuff. He's a rapper, but he writes really funny little raps, and he has serious raps.
Sure.
But like he has a song that's like, and you might know this sound, but like he's like I live in a shitty apartment, and he's like, and I have roaches, and he's like, and he goes 15 of them, and he's like making this little beat in the background, bump bump bump, like when he's saying it. Some other TikToker apparently goes out and he finds these videos, and then he redoes them, but he just adds their audio, and then he just does the imagery of like
Right.
him doing the
That's
same
awesome.
thing that they're doing, right? Which is fine if that's his gig, and he's getting famous for it. Cool. But what he did next was the reason why this artist was pointing him out, was that he went on Spotify and he uploaded his song
Oh shit.
to Spotify.
Whoops.
To try to make money off of it as his own.
Yeah, that's a
and he
bad
said it was
idea.
his own. So he took a recording
Yeah.
from another thing, put it online, and then tried to crush it on.
Yeah,
so
that's not a
he
good
reached
idea.
out to him. The dude never reached back, but the thing is though, is that he's basically telling him, he's like like my next step is to cease and desist. I'm he's like I'm not mad about the video on TikTok. He's like honestly, just give me credit. Like,
Sure.
just say that you got it from here. But he goes, but the fact that you put my music on a different platform that I already have my
audio
music on,
only. I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah, you're just trying to grab money from it and make people download.
You're gonna grab yourself a
instead
lawsuit if you do stuff like that.
And that's the whole thing, is that whether or not people understand this, like, there's money in TikTok. There's money in these things, YouTube, TikTok, all these things, and some of these artists, they get big pretty quick. They get pretty popular, and they get a lot of ad revenue, and they get a lot of revenue from sponsors and stuff like that. So that dude might actually have the money now, which he didn't probably, a year ago or 2 years ago, but he probably has the money now to go after this dude.
Oh, sure.
And so it's like, if you want a lawsuit on your hands, I guess, like, do that kind of stuff.
And honestly, it doesn't require a lot of money to file a lawsuit against somebody.
No.
Cease and desist, ChatGPT can write one up for you in a minute.
Yep. And that's another thing, too. Like, ChatGPT, I've been doing a lot of messing with contracts and stuff.
Sure.
And I'll just say, type in a artist contract for a venue, and it will literally type you up one.
No problem.
And it will create whatever you need. And that's the whole thing, is like learning these tools to like advance your, there. Make sure that you get your licensing on your music. Make sure that you do your publishing right. Make sure all your stuff to the studio's correct, because it's like, if you don't do these things, then there's a lot of money out there just lying around that's supposed to come to the artist.
Right.
And a lot of times it doesn't, because they didn't do some type of paperwork.
Right. They didn't do their due diligence.
But at the same time, if somebody stole their music and they didn't do their due diligence, then what ends up happening is that they're like, well, crap, what do we do now? Because we can't even sue this person. We don't even have a copyright on the song.
Right.
And so that's the whole thing, is like, everything you make and create, you have to put that in copyrights.
Well, and a lot of people think that they can upload it on Bandcamp and put a little copyright symbol at the bottom, and I'm like, that's not it.
That's not how that works.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to do that, but it does not help you as much as you think.
You have to register LLCs or like a business.
Or DBA or something.
You gotta have your little, like, paper that you went through the copyright office and stuff, and all that kind of stuff, saying that anything is done.
Well, and there's services now that'll do it, for you. You can go through these aggregators, because, like, to be on Spotify and stuff, you're supposed to be on, like, a record label. It's supposed to go through a distributor of some kind. And so there's these groups like CD Baby and DistroKid and stuff like that, they will copyright that stuff for you, and it's all part of a package, and it's listed, it's legal, it's this, we wrote this at this time, and it was, uploaded at this time, and we put it out to the world.
Yeah, you can't do the poor man's patent these days, which is I don't know if you ever heard that term.
Where you mail
where you mail the, like, a guy did that with this movie script. Or at least that's the story. That it was the Desperado or something. It was one of those movies that was a major movie. But what this guy did was, he wrote a script for a movie, and then he waited for somebody to create the movie.
Oh.
And then he sued him, and then he got all the money to write all his other movies. And so, but I think the script that he wrote was so basic. It was like some, like, romance film.
Right.
But, so it's like a standardized.
It just took place in Mexico.
I just sued this person that made a Hallmark film, that happens every single year. It's like, guy shows up to, a freaking city or a country area, and he meets some country girl, and then ends up leaving the city
That's
for
crazy.
or whatever, or the other way around, where, like, the girl comes back to the nice country town and had the rich asshole boyfriend in the city, and then ends up leaving him for, like, the country guy that's not in the city, I guess.
Right.
So
no, yeah, it's funny how all that stuff works, and I'm definitely not very sharp with legalese or anything like that, but luckily, hopefully, enough common sense to keep myself out of trouble with anything like that, especially caught stealing, because we like to, as the name suggests, we might borrow a melody or something from here and there.
Yeah.
And, you never know. Like, we might have a song that sounds just like another song. And so it's, we try to keep ourselves out of trouble, things like that.
Okay.
We don't want to get the Led Zeppelin treatment.
Right. And nobody wants to get the Hendrix treatment. I was reading I was reading what was it, Paul, it's Paul Mitchell, the guy that wrote the book. It's like how to survive the music business and stuff, and in there it has a story about Hendrix that I guess his recording guy, his manager, like owed like 60% or 70% of him. So he was only making like 30% off of everything.
Right.
And his manager was making the bulk of everything.
Sure.
And it was all because of contracts
and
how he wrote it. And back then it was like that.
No, and
nowadays,
it still is, honestly,
nowadays,
in a way.
It can be like that nowadays. If you have the proper contracts,
right.
It's not as much.
Yeah.
And they do have standardized rules, but not everybody follows these rules.
Well, and sometimes people are just so desperate to be discovered or to be put on a label and to have tour support that they'll sign fucked up contracts just because they get all these promises and they don't fully understand how advances work. And they're like, oh yeah, no, we all got $10,000 each.
Yeah,
and
that's
like, you owe that money with interest, right?
It's
That's
like,
not
hey,
your
that
money.
Nice house that you have, it don't belong to you.
No.
Oh,
they gave us money to make a video. And I'm like, they didn't give you money.
They'll literally go out to like these big record labels. They'll go out to like Hollywood or these places because here's the thing. They need that artist to look.
Oh, sure.
To look a certain level.
Right.
And so like they'll go out and they'll buy them the big house and the big this and the big that, and they think that they're getting all this stuff, and it's like
you don't own that house.
You don't own any of that.
You don't own those
you're
clothes.
Held to a contract, and you got to do the music
right.
and you got to perform the shows. And I had an artist one time at Live Nation, and he was a rapper, and I won't go into like who it is, but he was having trouble with his record label. And they weren't paying him, but they were making him still perform. And it was because he was held to a certain level where he didn't actually do certain things. Mm-hmm. So they were forcing him to basically go and make money for them because he needed to, because he was wasting their money.
Yeah.
And so he came out to Denver and he was playing the Fillmore, and he was about to come out on stage, and he just comes out and he just looks at the audience. He goes, man, it's like, I don't even want to be here. He's like, I don't even do this today, and walked off stage. And whether or not there was a phone call or whatever happened after that, he went in the back room, and about 10 minutes later, that dude came out, and I mean, the look on his face was like so sad to look at him, how mad he was, the fact that he had to play a show that night.
Right.
And so, and it's all because he, I guess, didn't do something right. And so, like, he was going in front of the crowd and he was rapping and stuff, but he basically told them he didn't want to be there, so the fans weren't really having a good time after that.
Sure.
Because he was just like,
yeah, they could tell he's not feeding into it. And that can be a lot of problem too. That's, some of my favorite thing about most local bands is, especially if they're more like how we are, and especially Cought Stealing, because Cought Stealing has zero fucking ambition whatsoever. We love playing music, but we don't ask to play shows. People ask us to play. We don't go looking for them. We just like getting together on Saturdays, drinking beer, playing songs. We go play darts afterwards. This is all fun for us. Like, it's pure hobby. We don't make flyers and run around and put them up because we don't like doing that.
Have a band that does that. So then you have your serious band, and then you have a band that just goes out.
We
and
only
have
show
fun.
up because we want to. Like, we love it. We enjoy the hell out of it. But we're not that band you're going to see with some street team throwing flyers everywhere. And if you don't show up to our show, fucking great. We don't really care. Like, we're happy to play for beer. They don't have to pay us. We don't really give a shit.
Right. A lot of artists here take a lot of anger with that statement, just because of the fact that they're like,
because they're trying hard.
Yeah,
and that's great.
Well, because to them they're like, well, I should be paid my worth, and I totally agree that they should be paid their worth.
Sure,
but they should also be willing to tell the place.
But what are you worth, really? At the same time, like, is it? Are you doing anything that great?
Yeah, you better show your worth.
Yeah.
You better show your numbers. You better show your stuff, and then be like, "This is my EPK. Like, if you want me to play here, you better understand. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
This
and you can tell those bands that are, really trying to hit the next level, and that's awesome. I respect the hustle. I really do. I think it's great, but we're not trying to make a job out of it. We have good paying jobs. Like, we're fine. We've got everything we need. And so we're not, like I said, if we're at a show, it's because we want to be there. Like, we turn down shows we don't want to play all the time. And occasionally someone will offer us something. We're like, dude, that sounds like fun. And if it sounds fun, we'll be there. And I think the Killings are finally getting to that point, because we played a lot of shows, probably a lot of shows we shouldn't have played. And you could tell we're there, we're tired. It's, a long day at work, and it's like, it's an extension of, it's like a part-time job we're barely getting paid for. But other times, like, Friday night, we were happy to be there. We're having a blast. Our friends are there. We're drinking, we're smoking, we're having fun. And you can feel it. Like, I've had people walk up and be like, man, I love watching you guys because you just look like you're having fun. And I'm like, because we are.
Yeah,
we're having a blast.
And that's the way it should be. I mean, at the moment, like I think you said a line to me that night that was like, whenever it stops being fun, maybe it's not worth doing no more.
It's not.
It's not.
Yeah,
and I fully agree with that.
If I don't enjoy dragging my drums around town, I'll quit.
No more than why keep.
Yeah,
doing it,
and that's why I play in so many projects. I mean, I just started a third project with a couple of guys, and whether it goes anywhere or not, I don't know, but it's got good potential to to be a lot of fun. And but that's why we're all there, because it's just fun. It's something we feel like we need to do because that's kind of a part of us. It's I just like playing music.
Yeah.
And even if I lived in a town of like 100 people, we'd still get together and jam every week, even if we had nowhere to play shows.
I'm like the other side of it, where like I just enjoy going to shows.
Yeah.
I enjoy being in the audience. I enjoy watching people, watching the crowd enjoying the show. Like
Sure.
that's why I used to love Live Nation, because you just watch this big crowd enjoying it and see the
Right.
power of the artists like doing their
Sure.
thing. And it's like and so that's why I did all of this stuff over the years, like because I'm like
You're enjoying it,
promoting it.
Yeah, you enjoy being a part of it, and
it.
that's and everybody kind of plays their own instrument, and it's whether you're getting the word of bands out there, which is kind of your instrument, or you can play the drums, or you can be like Destiny and you enjoy promoting shows and
and
recruiting bands
is
and
a
stuff.
powerhouse.
Oh yeah, no, she gets after it. And or you like working sound. Sometimes the soundboard is your instrument.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
That kind of came up today whenever I was at that AMC or ACM. I was looking at the soundboard, and he said, he goes, like the big important thing with recording is that you could look at all this stuff and go, oh well, I know what that does, but I may not know what this does.
Right.
This little knob right here. He goes, but by the end of the course, the whole point is that you know what that knob does, and you know that if you do certain things while they're in that room, you know that you can control that, and you can make them sound a certain way, and you can find that sound, that tone, that power of what they're trying to get out for that song. And so a good producer can do that.
Oh, sure.
And I said, I was like, that's why I'm more of the music business side, because I look at all this equipment and I see an airline. Like I see a plane. I walk in there and I go,
what kind of a spaceship is this?
I don't know what any of this is. I don't know how it works. I'm curious about it. I love doing sound.
Sure.
But it's like, but I'm not at that level where I could just be like, oh, I'm just going to mess with knobs.
Oh, and some people are just masters at it too. Like Kendall Stevens, the one who did the Cought Stealing record that we're putting out. He's incredible. Like the dude showed up with a bunch of road cases, and we turned my house into a studio for like a weekend and moved everything out of one room and turned it into a studio. And we had mics all over the house trying to get different sounds. And I'm like, man, I don't think this is going to work out. Like this is what a bootleg setup we have going on here. His equipment was incredible, but I'm looking at the room, and I mean, this is my house, and I'm just like, man, I don't think this is going to sound good. And I'll be damned if it's not one of the best recordings I've ever been a part of. Like it was incredible. So I don't know. It's some people just have a knack for certain things, and that dude definitely, when it comes to recording and producing and stuff, he's a killer. And on top of that, he's one of the greatest guitar players I've ever known. And he'll do like Nashville tracking and stuff. And he's got, for engineering, I'm pretty sure it's for engineering, he's got like a Grammy nod from a project he's worked on, and the dude's incredible. And he's, worked with some of our best friends and favorite bands, and like, Matt Jewett is one of my best friends. He's worked with him, and Red City, he's done stuff with them, and, he's just done some cool projects.
Yeah.
And so some people just have a knack, and they just know what they're doing. Maybe not have a knack, that probably discredits all the time they've put into it, but they had at least the gusto to sit down and figure it out and just experiment.
And that's kind of what you have to do,
right,
with a lot of it. There's a what is it? I won't mention their name, but like there's a studio that I actually met. They were doing the filming at your show, and the person that was doing it, and I was talking to them, and they were mentioning that because I said I do a podcast, and they said they're pointing out that in their studio they're actually trying to build a podcast room right now, but they don't know. They were like, well, we know the lighting.
Did he request we don't talk about him?
Huh?
Did he request?
I don't know. That's why I'm not.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, you could put it out there.
Well, no, because he posted his name. He posted a video. So Clark Deal, 3130 Studios.
I've never met him.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Yeah,
I was having a conversation with him. He said that they're trying to build a studio for podcasting, and so I I might be assisting him with that. I don't
That's
know.
awesome.
You know, like I told I offered, you know, and it's like, cause I was like, well, you know, I have all the recording equipment for it and my stuff's mobile. So I was like,
right.
you know, if you need a way to learn like which equipment is best and to do this the easiest way to get started, then, you know, but I mean, they're looking at cameras, they're looking at the real, like, that's
sure.
what they're trying to do is real studio.
Oh, no, yeah, and they've got a legit
I'm all for
studio.
trying to help them build a studio,
sure.
like, for podcasting.
That's awesome.
Because, I mean, because to me, I'm like, hell, I might even, you know, ask to partially run it, you know, just because I want to put on other shows. I want to start a network of podcasts like that does different stuff involving entertainment.
He's an interesting guy too, man. He does. I don't know him real well, but we've had conversations probably a dozen times over 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I played his birthday party at a studio like 15 years ago or something, you know, give or take a few years. And it was a badass studio back then. Mm-hmm. And that was when he was, I don't know if he was first starting out, but I mean, that was a long time ago. And it was a pro level studio, like visual studio back then. And
yeah, I mean, his camera's nice. Like,
yeah, he's a legit dude.
It's nice, yeah.
And I watched a part of what he did for us. I have a hard time watching myself, but I kind of watched snippets of what he recorded for us, and it sounds good. It looks pretty good. I mean, throw that out there. We're 3130 Studios on YouTube.
Yeah,
has video of the Killing Show and Costanza's
I definitely
and Planets Align.
Share all that, so I'll probably put it in the show notes.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's a cool guy, and every time I see him, I try. He's a kind of a big, intimidating looking dude.
Yeah.
So it takes me a few beers to work up the courage to walk up and say hi, and then I'm always like, oh my god, why did it take me so long to say hi? He's so nice. Yeah. Like, what a friendly guy.
Yeah, most of those dudes are like that. They're just like big old teddy bears.
Yeah, no, he's a big old buff dude, and I'm like, I don't know, if he's aggressive, this could go bad. Like, but he's so sweet. Like, he's such a nice guy. And so, yeah, it's always a pleasure to get to sit down and talk to him. Yeah. And, but yeah, the video looks great, though, that he did of the show. And then, you know, he does some really cool stuff for sure.
That's awesome.
And he's definitely kind of a master of that craft.
Yeah, definitely a master at that kind of stuff. I know some of the film people here that do like music videos and stuff. They're definitely masters at their craft.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I've seen some great music videos come out of like not thinking anyway. Anyway, I've seen a lot of good ones come out of a lot of artists here.
Oh yeah, no, there's some cool ones for sure.
But yeah,
but yeah, Killings don't have too much going on in the near future. We're kind of we're going to try to play outside of Oklahoma City more, like I was saying before. Maybe try to widen the audience a little bit. Like I said, we're not really hustle, like trying to get out there and get exposed too much. But we are, we want to get out of town just because it'd be fun. Like, it'd be a good time, and it'd keep us from playing the same bars over and over again and people getting sick of us. And we'll probably start writing, now that we've got the last of our 8 songs out in this EP. We'll probably start trying to work on more material. Then Cought Stealing, we've got, a show coming up on the 27th. And we're going to be playing with, what is the name of that band? I've got it on my phone here. Hooks and Huckleberries, that's right. And they're badass too. I just got to check them out the other day, and I'm pretty pumped about the show all of a sudden. So that'll be cool. And we're releasing our, I believe we call it the Simp Heron Special. Mm-hmm. So we'll be putting out, it's like 6 or 7 songs recorded by Kendall Stevens, putting that out. And then outside of that, I don't think Cought Stealing has all but one show lined up right now too. I think we're Pete and I work together, so he works way more than I do, and I'm working enough to where I'm like, dude, not too many shows in too short of amount of time. So we'll see what kind of happens with that. Maybe it slows down a little bit in the winter time, and we can start focusing more on music. But we're all kind of coasting right now, I think.
Awesome.
Just taking anything that sounds fun and letting the songs come to us. We're not trying to force anything. We're just, if we think of a cool riff or whatever, like especially the Killings, Shane probably has a whole stockpile of riffs he's sitting on. Mm-hmm. And song ideas. He probably just needs to watch another John Waters movie, and he's got another idea for a song. That's his shit. Mm-hmm. And then Pete, his songs, he kind of takes his time with his songs. He doesn't just spit out a shit ton of songs. Mm-hmm. Like, here's a song about my shoes or whatever. He sits down and really thinks about, and he'll, be weird about it at first and don't want to sing it in front of the band. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And then slowly but surely, we really kind of let ours kind of ferment and just kind of turn into something else. And Pete usually has a grand idea before we start working on the song, and then we'll all kind of work on it and put our own little touches on it and stuff. And then once he gets confident of singing in front of us, we have a few months before we're ready to sing in front of people. But yeah, that's really it. Not a whole lot.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're at like 50 minutes. So
nice. We did it.
Call it. Yeah, we did it. We made it 50 minutes.
We win.
Talking. Woo. Yeah. But yeah. So just before we do the shout outs and stuff like that, shout out to the Blue Note. It was awesome doing a show out there for the for their release show and stuff. That was really cool to watch.
Big shout out to John. He always gets
awesome.
us in there.
Yeah, going in there and having a good time, just hanging out with everybody. That was a really good night. As for the podcast, the Local Earshot podcast is a value for value proposition. What that means is that that I work on 3 tenets. It's time, talent, and treasure. The first tenet is time. It's basically if you listen to the show or you follow us on all our platforms and all the different little things, Facebook, Instagram, all those things, getting involved, and actually commenting to comments, all those things, that's considered giving your time up for the value for value proposition. The second part of the value for value proposition is talent. And many people consider many different things on different podcasts what talent is. Talent can be like a person that creates art for every episode or creates stuff for the band, or for the podcaster. Anything that's like sent in notes, recommendations, artists. Like if you say, "Hey, I found this band, you should be checking them out." That's considered a form of value for value. And then the third T is treasure. With treasure. There's different ways to give. I'd take crypto, Cash App, Venmo, takes Stripe. Like there's a whole list of different little payment systems out there. What the money goes for is basically if you look at the scene right now, is every piece of equipment in here was basically paid for by me. And so like whenever you donate to the show, it actually makes it where I can actually pay for like hosting and all of the equipment that I do to do the show, but mainly so I can move to a studio. And that currently I'm not in a studio, so I've been doing a lot of field work, stuff like that. So if you like listening to the show, if you want to support me, if you want to support all the local bands out here and stuff, then just think about donating. It's at thelocalearshot.com. There's a tab that says donate, and you just click that tab, and then you can donate to the podcast. So thank you for listening. And is there any shout outs you want to do?
Fuck no, man.
All right. Well, thank you.